Okay. Feet? How were your feet?
I was feeling good. I was feeling really great. I mean, I did 23 minutes up tabletop.
Yeah.
3.5 round trip for Street and I. And
where did you go? Remind me where you went to get up tabletop? Because you went from Colden.
Oh yeah, I did Indian Pass.
That makes sense. Sure. Okay.
Or Indian Falls. Sorry,
yeah,
Indian Falls. Yeah, it's a 0.8 mile.
Yeah, I know where you're going. Now.
So I was on top of Nye at 2, and I got back down to the lodge at 3:15. So I started hiking the McIntyres at like 3:20.
Yeah,
I guess right around 3:20. I got up to Red Peak at 5:20. So 2 hours later, I was moving up a little slower than I wanted to. It was at 5:20.
At this point in the day, it's not surprising.
Yep. I hit Algonquin.
200 calories up Street and 9. Maybe if he had more calories, he would have been moving faster. But what do I know? Continue.
I hit Algonquin at 6:15.
Okay.
But remember what time I said I wanted to be back at Feldspar?
I don't.
Well,
10 o'clock?
I did. Well, I think I said originally I wanted to be a 12-hour day, so I wanted to be back at 5 or 6, right?
Okay.
But I did a lot every day to be a 16 to 17-hour day. But let's remind you, originally I wanted to just get Redfield and Cliff on this day as well.
This is a shorter day.
Right? So it's even a shorter day. So I was like, this should probably take me 14 hours. So I'm thinking like, okay, when I woke up, I'll be back by like 7 or 8 p.m. So this whole day, you know what I'm thinking? I can get ahead for the next day.
Yes. You could almost like not get back on track to what your schedule is, but back on track for
the 4.5 days. Yeah, the whole thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get back to Feldspar at like 7 or 8 p.m. and
send it up.
And I'm going to grab my stuff, hit up Gray, Skylight, Marcy, Haystack, and then sleep at Snowbird by midnight.
Which is part of his day 3, which till I read what his day 3 originally was planned. It is bonkers, and it makes me tired
for the
just
record,
reading
if I had it when I'm fresh and I have a day pack.
Fresh is everything.
I know. But when I know. Okay, but listen. This is reasonable. It is reasonable. It really is.
That remains to be seen. But yes. Okay. So you're playing. So you got up to Algonquin. You're not feeling bad. You're feeling okay. We talked on your way up to Algonquin on the phone, and at this point, I was eating at Big Slide Brewery while you were continuing.
Yeah. So I'm on top of Algonquin at 6:15,
and then on to Iroquois and Marshall.
Right. So exactly 12 hours later in my day, I'm on Red Peak.
Okay.
Right. So then an hour later, it's like I was allotting like, okay, so when I went and did this, from the moment I left my car till when I was on the summit of Marshall, the first time I went, it was 2.5 hours. So I'm like, okay, I'll probably maybe be 30, 45 minutes slower. So I'm like, when I started going up right, I'm like, okay, it's almost 3:30. I'm gonna be probably close to 6 p.m.
Yep.
On Marshall, and it's gonna take me. Okay, I'll get back to Marshall I'll get back to Feldspar by 8. That makes sense. I'll get back to Feldspar at 8 o'clock. I'll pack up as quick as I can. Just hork something down, and
keep going.
Just get up, because I calculated 4 hours to do Gray, Skylight, and Marcy. Because I'm only 2.2 miles from the summit of Marcy from that point.
Yep.
And I would just.
it's a tough 2.2 miles.
Right.
It's
right.
up. You're up. But yeah.
But I was like, I think 4 hours is gracious time to hit Gray, day pack up Gray, day pack up Skylight, go up Marcy, day pack Haystack, and get down to Snowbird.
Sure.
And I'm like, I can be there by midnight, get 5 hours of sleep, and just.
And you're at a good spot for the next day.
Right.
At that point.
Oh my gosh, dude! I'm just like dreading just thinking about this. So I
just can't wait to read people what day 3 was originally.
I'm on Algonquin at 6:15. I get to Iroquois at 6:45.
Sure, that makes sense.
And I'm like, all right, it's going to take me 30 minutes to bushwhack down and 30 minutes to get up to Marshall. So it should take me 1 hour from on Iroquois.
So let's not blow over that. So he's bushwhacking from Iroquois over to
it's a beautiful
summit of
bushwhack.
Marshall.
When you
it's
actually
a pretty popular one.
When you know where you're going and you
sure.
finally find a herd path, it's beautiful. You just got to hit the end wall, right? Or you're going to come across a 100-foot vertical cliff.
There you go. Avoid the vertical cliff.
Yeah.
That is
if you hit the vertical cliff, you went too far, backtrack, go left,
and
then you'll find the chimney. So I'm standing at 6:45, and I'm like at this point, okay, It's going to probably take me a little longer, so I'm probably going to be standing on the summit of Marshall right at 8 o'clock when I wanted to be back.
Which was your late time to be back at Feldspar.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if you're listening, Feldspar is a campsite that's basically at the base of going up Marcy, Skylight, and Gray, which is what he has planned for the next day. So it would have been a perfect spot to camp to start the next day.
So I finally get to the summit of Marshall at 8:15. So hour and a half from the summit of Iroquois. So it took me 30 minutes longer, which is reasonable. That's
not surprising
fine,
at that point in the day.
But an hour and a half to go from Iroquois to Marshall in general, that's a great time. You know, it's like, I mean, normally you have to hike all the way down, go all the way back up. That's going to take you like 4 hours. So I'm watching the gorgeous sunset on Marshall, and I get to that sign at 8:15 p.m. and I'm so spent because like what I went through these past 2 days and how it just wasn't going according to plan and all these other things just like was really, really hurting. All these things were creating emotional and physical just things that just were starting to wreck me because my dream was fading away now.
You could see it.
It was being snuffed out.
Getting taken away.
Right.
And, when you're going for if you're doing a through hike, it's like you need to take a day, you need to shorten a day, ration a little food. That's one thing. But when you're going for something to be an FKT, like every minute means something. So, it adds so much to that stress level. But this, when you were on Marshall, is when it came to a head here.
This is a picture of me sitting at the base of Marshall. And
I think that might be the picture of the that might be the picture I need to use for this podcast promo picture here, right there. I think that sums it all up.
So I stayed on the summit of Marshall for half an hour, talking to my parents.
Actually,
again, they come in clutch.
Before we get to that, real quick question. Also, it's what good a conversation with mom and dad can do for a person's
it really does.
psyche.
I'm grateful for them.
How long would you say on average you stayed on summits? Because FKT, huge days. Like, did you go up, tag it, take a picture, and go, or what?
I would say my average time was probably 2 minutes.
Yeah, that's what I would have assumed. Okay.
Max was like I was on Colden, and between Colden and Marcy, it was above the clouds. It was so gorgeous. I spent like 15 minutes on Colden because it was one of the most beautiful sunrises I've ever seen. So I was like, I gotta just take this in.
Yeah. Okay, so you got to Marshall, you stayed up there for a half hour, you called your parents, and this is kind of, this is
helping them
where...
just figure out what to do because at this point, to me, it's like people are like, dude, you know what? It doesn't matter how long it takes you, just finish this whole thing out. I'm like, look, guys, listen. To me, it is about the record, and to some people that might sound selfish, but I mean, the thing is like that's what I want.
That's what your goal really was.
I've hiked these mountains, I have so many summits up here, and it's like, hiking through them again is fine and all, And I know if I wanted to set out to hike them in a week, that was my original plan, I would still be out there right now, and I would probably be finishing tomorrow. It would be fine. It would be easy. For me, like to do it in 7 days, I know I could do that. And so I really just had a real heart-to-heart talk and was like, guys, the thing is like, I'm going to get back to my campsite like at like 11 p.m. And I'm looking at my food sitch now. I still had like 15,000 calories on me, but I'm really looking at everything and was like, okay, looking at the speeds that I've gone and that I will be doing the next stuff with a pack on, realistically, what's going to happen, John? And I'm like, I know I'm not going to make it to there. I know I'm going to have to stop before that because I'm going to be burning myself out. And then because of that, it's going to push into this day and it's going to be raining, which is today, all day. And I'm like, okay, I bit off more than I could chew. This really, really hurts. And there's a lot of people watching this right now. And I'm more low on food than I would like to be.
Way too low, but continue.
Guys, please don't make fun of me about not bringing... I did bring a lot of food. I did.
Hey, it's a learning process. You learned.
I know. Okay.
You learned.
And so I just stood there and was like, okay, this is going to hurt, but I need I need to call it here, because I'm just going to be putting myself through more worse stuff. At the end of the day, what gets me through and what helps me send these mountains is seeing the accomplishment, you achieving your goals. And since I am so used to that, seeing more and more every single day, it getting slower and slower, really took a lot of me emotionally. Being out there alone was only difficult that first day because there was almost 36 hours where I didn't see someone. I saw so many people on the trail. So many people were encouraging me. I got messages from people, voicemails. And I'm glad that I was able to, hear them and talk to them. But when you see the thing you've been hoping for so long slowly dissolve from your fingers, it really, really hurts. And so that pride mixed with having to face everyone and tell them that, Jonathan Zaharek, even I have my limitations, realized, maybe 3.5 days is maybe slightly unreasonable.
Just a wee bit.
Why didn't you tell me?
I did tell you.
No. I will tell you, though, it's very easy for me to convince someone that it's reasonable because it does make sense when you're trail running and you're fresh and you have a day back.
When you're fresh. God, it's so important. But also...
oh, man, I want to cry.
Yeah, well, dude, well, I mean, speaking of crying...
So, I went through hell.
And I liked it. I'm a big story guy. I work in the film industry, so stories are like what I like.
I'm a phoenix rising from the ashes.
Sure okay. Sorry about that. But when you posted an Instagram video on your page, so you were, people are following you, all your fans.
And it kind of went viral just a little bit.
I believe it.
People took a little attention to it.
I liked it. And I even told my wife this because it was like a real moment because most people are seeing picture. He's he's doing this, he's crushing this, and I knew we had talked when you were on Right, so I kind of knew what was going on. So the video didn't really shock me, but I know it would have shocked other people. But I told my wife, I said that video of you in tears, getting real for a second, saying this is what's going on, this is what I'm dealing with, how I'm feeling. This, I think you said, this is hell on earth out here for me right now. That was it, dude. That needed to be said. It needed to be shown. That was as real as it can get. And I think it probably took all these people who follow you on social media by total surprise. But what a real human moment that was, and to really to show dude, you've done over 100 miles in 2.5 days right now. It's going to wear on you. Not just your body's going to hurt, but your friggin' mind is just going to be melting when the goal that you're trying to accomplish is, like you said, it's slipping away and there's nothing you could do. You can't make yourself, sprint up these mountains. You can't do it.
A majority of the messages I got from people were like, dude, you got this, keep pushing. Mm-hmm. And as much as those are encouraging, those aren't the messages that I wanted to be hearing. The ones that I really, really felt are the ones people asking me, hey, how are you feeling? And I got some messages from people saying dude, listen, there is honor in knowing your limits.
Sure.
It's okay to feel this way and to give up, and giving up and failure is a strong word, but the thing is at the end of the day, it's not I wasn't limited by physicality as much as it was because of the decisions that I made were the results in my physical abilities being limited.
So would you say planning process? The planning process is what it
the planning was great for if you're legit able to go for 3.5 days, then my route and everything is it's flawless. It's perfectly designed for it. Maybe I would change up the 2 bushwhacks, or I will be changing those up. I will be figuring out workarounds for that. But at the end of the day, here's the thing. I know I can thru-hike all these guys because when you hit Marcy, I was 4 peaks away from Marcy. When you hit Marcy, that's when you coast to the summit of the tallest part of the roller coaster. Because when you're on Marcy, you look back, you see you got all of that stuff done, and you see all you got left there is the Great Range, and then you got the Dix Range over there, and then you're on the final stretch